Am I the a-hole for not giving a crap that my kids have more than their step and half siblings at their mom's house? My ex-wife and I, both in our 30s, had a very bitter divorce. She cheated on me, tried to make me take responsibility for a child who was unlikely to be mine, had an abortion after she realized I would DNA test that child and would end my parental responsibility if I wasn't the father, then she accused me of making her miscarry. She tried to ask for alimony and child support when alimony was nowhere near entering the picture. She did get some child support, but we shared 50-50 of our 2 sons, so it was never as much as she was hoping for. She remarried and became a stepmother and a mother again. The other children are all over the place in age. Our sons are 9 and 11. Our sons have more than their step and half siblings because I can provide these things for them. We go places my ex-wife and her husband cannot afford. They can do as many activities as they want as long as they actually want to do them, and I happily pay for that. My kids have a gaming room at my house. They get nice birthday parties with their friends. The works. My ex-wife and her husband cannot afford this, and in the last year they have been more vocal about it because the children in their home feel bad. My ex-wife wanted me to include the other children in the experiences I give my kids and the parties I throw for them, but we do everything separate, and I have responded via our co-parenting that it is better that we continue doing things separate and that I am not obligated to provide for their children in any way. This pressure from her has increased since the summer when the kids and I did an extended Disney vacation, and then they got a second vacation that included my parents, siblings and their families. My ex-wife said it's disgusting that I would let the disparity continue to grow and that I show no concern for the other children involved. As far as I'm concerned, they are not my children and therefore not my responsibility, and my sons don't want to include them. But I am prepared to be wrong if that's what the consensus is, because children are involved. Am I the a-hole? NTA. Your only obligation is to your own children. Teach them to be humble and not rub it in the siblings' faces. That doesn't mean they can't talk about what they have or do with you, it means don't brag and be jerks about it. You're not responsible for her other kids or their feelings. NTA. You're doing what you're supposed to do, and what you want to do for your kids. If her and her husband can't afford to treat their kids then same way, that's their problem. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling an autistic person that their disability isn't an excuse for not paying for services rendered? I work as a server in a restaurant. A couple of nights ago I had a couple in their 30s come in around 2 a.m. As I took their order, the husband mentioned that all the food had to be on separate plates for his wife as she is autistic and will not eat foods that share the same plate. They then proceed to order. She wanted a kids' meal, however restaurant policy states that kids' meals can only be bought for kids. I explained this policy and explained that everything on the kids' menu is available to adults for a slightly higher price. Combined it all came out to about $1.50 more in price. The husband agrees and I send the order to the kitchen. We are a little busier than normal as it's homecoming weekend and we have lots of big parties. About 20 minutes pass and the husband flagged me down and states that his wife is having a panic attack and they need to pay for their drink and leave. I ask for 1 second to make the kitchen aware that their order is no longer needed and he agrees. When I go to the kitchen I'm told the food is already prepared, so I ask for it to be boxed up to go. I return to the floor, explain that the food has been prepared and I am having it boxed to go for them. The wife them states because of her panic attack she will not be able to eat. I explain that I am sorry that she had a panic attack, but as they came into the restaurant, ordered the food, and that it was already prepared, they would be expected to pay for the services rendered, however I would comp their drinks if they would like. She then asked why she should have to pay for food she wouldn't be able to consume, and I simply stated that once the food was ordered and cooked the company required compensation for services rendered, and that even if they were to stay in the restaurant and not eat any of the food and leave it at the table they would still be expected to pay for what they ordered. She then reiterated that she had a panic attack and that I should have recognized she was having a medical episode, to which I replied that I am a server and not a trained medical provider, and that if she was being escorted out of the restaurant on a stretcher then I would make an exception, but as she was currently speaking with me coherently I failed to see how her medical condition warranted her not paying her bill. Today I received a complaint that they filed with our corporate office saying that I discriminated against them by making them pay for food that the wife wouldn't be able to consume due to her having a panic attack induced by her autism. However, I would have done the same with any customer regardless of who they are. I actually think that making an exception for them solely because she is disabled would be a form of discrimination, as I would be treating her differently than I would treat others solely because of her disability. So my question is, am I the a-hole for not making an exception, or did I do the right thing by having them pay for the food they ordered? So she had a panic attack but stayed in the restaurant to argue about not paying for her meal? That clearly was not an emergency. She sounds like a nightmare who is totally enabled by the husband. They ordered the food, they pay for the food. They can take it home or throw it away. It doesn't matter. NTA. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my dad's girlfriend some random woman when we were arguing over him giving her a say in my life when they don't even live together? My mom died 5 years ago, and for the last 2 years my dad has been dating Ruth. She doesn't live with us, and I, 17, haven't really spent a lot of time with her. Mostly her and my dad go on dates, or she'll come over while I'm spending the night at a friend's house or my grandparents' house. I know my dad cares about Ruth a lot and I don't have an issue with their relationship, but recently I've been frustrated by my dad's willingness to give Ruth a say, like parental style say, in my life. The first time it happened was when I asked Dad if I could spend a weekend with my best friend's family at their cabin. Dad told me he needed to think about it, and weeks after I'd been he mentioned that Ruth had been against it and that they only agreed for me to go as long as I called Dad at least 3 times while I was gone. In my head I was like, what the F is Ruth getting a say for? I asked him what Ruth had to do with anything, but he ignored me. Then I wanted permission to stay on my own while Dad was out of town for a few days. Dad involved Ruth in that too. And because she didn't like the idea of someone under 18 staying home alone, he said I had to choose a family member to stay with. Those came up in our fight, but it wasn't what the fight was about. My best friend's family invited me to an out-of-state Christmas market with them in December. I asked Dad if I could go. It's going to be an all-day thing, leaving early and getting home late. My dad told me he needed to talk to Ruth, and I asked him why, and he asked what I meant, and he said he didn't like me questioning his decision to involve Ruth. I told him Ruth's not my parent, so why should she get a choice in this? He told me Ruth's his partner, and I told him I didn't care because she should not have any influence over me. She doesn't live here, they're not married, she's not my parent. During the fight I told him I don't want some random woman having a say in my life like that. My dad told me she's not some random woman, and how dare I minimize and dismiss her like that. He told me she's entitled to have a say if he says so, and I'm being a brat about her involvement. I told him that if he ever needs me to step in and care for him, he should be just fine with me finding a new boyfriend and giving him a say in his care. Dad did not like that one bit. He told me it was petty and dangerous to give someone I hardly know a say in potentially important care if he's impaired in any way in his later years. And I told him he might not be comfortable with it, but if he can do it to me, then I can do it to him. I told Dad I should let this future boyfriend decide where he gets sent to in that situation. Dad ended up really pissed off at me, and he vented to my aunt, his sister, and she took my side. He wasn't happy about that, and he brought up the part where I called his girlfriend a random woman. Aunt was still on my side. So Dad sorta told her where to go, and he went to fight me and asked if I had apologized to Ruth yet. I said no, and I said I wasn't going to. Ruth's pissed as well and has a big issue with me viewing her as just some random woman who should have no say in my life. But I stand by that view of her. Does it make me the a-hole though? Maybe. I'm asking here because I figure nobody knows us, so nobody has a bias for either side based on that. NTA. She's not your mother. She's not your stepmother. She's no one to you. Just because she occasionally keeps him warm at night doesn't give her the right to have a say in your life. Dad's fast-tracking his way to low contact. Next story. Am I the a-hole for sleeping with my soon-to-be ex-wife's friend? My wife cheated on me 2 months ago with a guy she met while we still were together and working on the relationship. Now almost 2 months later, I texted a woman who has a kid who's in the same class as our kid. I met this woman the first time in our home because my wife invited her and her kid to play with our kid. They got along decently from what I understood. This woman told my wife and I that she was single and had left the father. Now mind you, this is all I knew about my wives and her relationship. I did not know that they had been texting each other a bit since then. Fast forward, I text this woman after 2 months of our breakup because why not? I thought she looked good and that we could probably just have a good time. After having met her, we both developed feelings for each other, to which we tried to end it but couldn't. The woman I met then proceeded to text my soon-to-be ex-wife that she has feelings for me and that she is sorry but she can't really ignore them. All the while my wife is spending every other week with the guy she cheated with on me and have said she loved him just 2 to 3 weeks after we broke up. We haven't even sold our house yet, and she has already rented a place for herself and him and are planning a new life for them, introducing our kids etc. to him, posting pictures on Facebook where he is holding my kids' hands etc. Now she has the balls to say that I'm the a-hole? Reddit. Am I the a-hole for fancying my soon-to-be ex-wife's friend? Edit 1. As the situation stands now, she has threatened to contact the court to basically force sell the house to lowest bidder. This could mean our entire 10-year housing career will be lost. And any hopes in putting any of the money from the sale of the house into savings for the kids will be gone. I haven't received any calls or letters about it yet, so we will see. NTA. Your wife is a big arse hypocrite. Next story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my dad's wife for her lies on social media about being the primary parent for me and my siblings? A few months ago I, 17M, found out my dad's wife has a social media account where she talks about being a custodial stepmom who was crap on by the kids she raised and their birth giver because all the kids ran to their birth giver as teens and don't appreciate her for anything she did. She had a whole story about raising us since we were toddlers and how dad was the custodial parent when she met him and she became a SOM and treated all her kids both bio and step the same. She claimed we never even knew what our birth giver looked like until I was 13 and found her online. She posted about how much that hurt her when she found out I looked up the woman who gave birth to us and abandoned us, which are her words FYI. And she'd post all these Q&As where she would help other step-parents be the best custodial parents they could be. She gave out some details about us. Shared a photo of my younger brother, 14, without his face blurred. Then she told this really long-winded and detailed story about us running away one day and finding out we ran away to our birth giver's house and how we were brought back, but it happened 3 more times until the courts became involved and decided it would be easier to let us live with our birth giver. This is all a load of BS. Our parents shared custody of us our whole lives and mom had us more because dad worked out of town for like 5 days a month, so he had to give mom that time when he wasn't around. My dad's wife has never, ever been the primary parent for us. Even when dad was at work and she was at home, we didn't spend a lot of time with her and she was never responsible for doing everything like she claimed. We never had a good relationship with her either. But after finding out about her page, I was more annoyed by her than ever before. She always hated mom and liked trying to start crap over BS stuff like the fact mom didn't just let us stay with dad's wife when dad was out of town for 5 days. Or the fact she expected mom to stop talking to her man even through their co-parenting app. I didn't do anything when I first found the page. I basically went through a bunch of videos and saved them and showed my mom. Then she did a live and I started commenting and calling her out for her lies and exposed her for being a fraud about everything. I even made my page public so people could see photos of me and mom throughout my childhood. It pissed my dad's wife off so bad that she threatened to harm my mom, and so mom called the police. My dad wanted to know what was going on and he defended the videos when I showed them to him. He said his wife harmed nobody. And he said she talked about loving me and my siblings, so what was the big deal? Ever since the whole thing went down, me and my siblings have lived with mom. But my dad's wife said I had no right to intrude on her private space, it was a public account, and public humiliation is abusive, and that's what I did to her, and she said it was for spite and not for a good reason. I didn't even waste my time trying to explain why she was a hypocrite, but my dad's sister and Bill are taking dad and his wife's side. They said I did it to hurt and humiliate her and I was childish in how I handled it. They said a private talk would have been wiser. I think it's crazy, but I figure it wouldn't hurt to ask, am I the a-hole for what I did? Public humiliation is abusive. You mean like rewriting the life story of your stepchildren to make them motherless and then attacking their mom over and over? NTA. Stay away from delusional people. NTA for exposing her lies. I'd go no contact with her and everyone defending this absolutely bonkers, attention-seeking behavior. There are loads of great step-parents out there, but she isn't one of them. You didn't humiliate her, she did that to herself. Anyone defending her is just as bizarre as she is.